feature presentation.
I wasn't totally sure if I was going to hit the right button or not for that sound effect.
Oh, we got it. Nailed it.
Nailed it. All right, guys, we just got back.
And we're back
From watching Overlord.
Woo.
So I'm going to get into the numbers a little bit. The budget for this film was $38 million.
That sounds about right.
It's quite a bit. And considering, I feel like I'm using this as a yardstick at this point, but Halloween 2018 budget, $10 million.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And made like $250 million.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And this was $38 million. And its worldwide gross was $41 million.
Good job. You're in the plus.
Made money.
You made it.
We in the black.
Great job, guys.
Yep. Nailed it.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of trivia. So this is the first movie from Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams' production company, i.e. Lost, Cloverfield, Star Trek, anything else that Bad Robot's worked on.
Yeah. that one show, Space Time Continuum.
Fringe.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
The first one that they have made, first movie they've made that is a rated R.
Oh.
Surprising, right?
Wait, what about the alien that was like eventually put in this concentration camp? That wasn't rated R?
District 9?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
I mean, obviously not.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah. I double-checked
guess
the
there wasn't-
Cloverfields, and they were both PG-13.
13.
Even
Yeah.
10 Cloverfield Lane, which is, I mean, yeah, it's not
More
gory,
intense.
but like, yeah, it's intense and kind of fucked up.
yeah. And thinking about District 9, like,
Yeah.
it's not worth rated R.
Mhm.
I mean, unless if you have.
I feel like
a ton
I
of
felt like
language,
he said fuck a lot, but maybe not. Or maybe I watched like a uncut DVD
Yeah.
version that was different.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, thought it was kind of cool. So in Overlord's first sequence, we see the soldiers jumping from a burning airplane. Well, first of all, let me preface this with there is some CG in this movie we see with sort of the creature, undead, zombie things, but they actually made it a goal to do a lot of practical effects.
Classic J.J. Abrams, right?
Absolutely. And so in the first sequence, when we see the soldiers jumping out of a burning plane, they actually used a real airplane. They put it on a gimbal, which is this thing that basically like can allow it to spin around but still be stabilized. And they blew up half of the plane. And the stuntmen are falling out of the airplane through fire.
Wow.
That's intense.
They did it all legit, like in a warehouse, like on a soundstage, basically.
We're hiring you as a stuntman. We assume that your life is going to end tomorrow.
But they didn't like fly the plane and blow it up. The plane's just like
right.
probably 10 feet off the ground.
Right.
And then people are falling out the back of it. And I guess just the kind of obviously it's a very chaotic scene, so you're not like looking for the fire suit. But also it being wrapped up in like a military packaging, it's really easy for them to be wearing a fire suit under their fatigues, and it's all happening very quickly. You don't even see it.
Yeah.
That being said, I have watched Us so many times now, and there's the scene in Us. I'm referencing a completely different movie, but it makes sense. The scene in Us where Pluto, the doppelganger, backs up into the fire. I've seen the movie enough times, I can pinpoint when it switches from being the actor in regular clothes to being the stuntman in the fire suit.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden he looks a lot more poofy than he used to look.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to do that in this movie, and because they're all wearing military fatigues and backpacks, parachutes, all this shit, like, you just don't really tell. You can't really tell. For all we knew, that was all faked, and they did it for real, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
It's weird that I would say something like, oh, for all we knew, it was faked.
You mean just in the grander scheme of...
Yeah, it's just in general, because it's like, it's almost like I give things a free pass if they're CGI, but then whenever you find out that it's real, you're like, oh shit, that looked just as good as if it was CGI.
Right.
Yeah, but I feel like for the genre of movies we typically talk about, it's classic. Like, that's low budget, that's easy, we expect it. If I were reviewing this from an action or historic standpoint, it'd be a completely different conversation, right? Like, I mean, like, that's why, like Saving Private Ryan, that opening sequence has a completely different acceptance rate or I don't know, like, or trauma rate,
Right.
then, what's that god awful movie that with Bruce Willis where he was like, I don't know, I forget, it's something son, I don't know. It's like,
Oh yeah.
like the military wouldn't even allow them to wear like actual uniforms. Like it was
Right.
so god awful. And
yeah. What is
so,
that? No.
I don't remember.
I was gonna
but
say
it's
Tiberian Sun, but I think that's a Command and Conquer game.
It doesn't sound right, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. So like the movies that we watch, typically that's a budget saver.
Right.
We don't have a production house like Bad Robot that is, has Bad Rabbit, that has the pocketbooks that
Oh yeah.
Bad Robot does.
And
so.
just a flat out talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, no one. I don't know. Like, I know that this is putting myself on the spot, but like, no one has just the clout that they have in filmmaking outside of like Industrial Light and Magic.
Right.
Like, so yeah, it took 5 hours each day to apply the makeup of, I'm not gonna pronounce the actor's name correctly, but German bad guy.
Yeah,
who becomes a weird zombie guy.
Double
Really?
shot. German
Yeah,
bad
so
guy.
obviously we saw a little bit of that was CG, especially when we see it like morphing.
Yeah.
But like the prosthetics and the makeup and the blood and all of that was practical. It took 5 hours every day of shooting to put on his makeup.
That's
Pretty intense.
yeah, and I feel like also
Unnecessary?
yeah.
Well, I
Right?
think that's
I
just
mean-
when you hear some of these things like, oh wait, they actually blew up an airplane for that scene. Oh wait, they applied these prosthetics to him and it took 5 hours every time they put him on.
And we don't know how many days they were actually doing that makeup
True.
set, right? I mean, like,
But
could be 3 or 4 days.
oh, that's why the movie cost $38 million.
right.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
Otherwise,
It's
it
like,
shouldn't have.
What's the trade-off between like, hey, we bought this airplane and we made this real explosion, and how many times are we going to run this with these stunt doubles to do this? And
Right.
where's the trade-off point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Does that work for your little 2-syllable split up?
Yes.
Incredible. Unbelievable.
Phenomenal. Wait, that didn't work.
No. All right, so what happened in this movie, Danny?
Okay, let me give you the full synopsis. We're
You're my favorite.
We're flying into Germany pre D-Day.
France?
D-Day.
That's where we're
France.
going.
It was France. I'm so sorry.
Where'd you say Germany?
Said Germany. We're going straight to the source.
We're going for it.
Good start. So we're flying into France, and we're pre D-Day, and we got this operation to complete before our boys come in.
That's the idea. They're going to blow up this radio tower.
Got to blow up this radio tower.
The D-Dayers come in.
Yes, it's extremely significant. Nothing can happen unless we blow up this one radio tower.
Boom.
Yeah. The day doesn't happen
Did
until this happens.
can't happen.
Yep.
Which
It becomes so
jive with you?
insignificant in the storyline. Just let's
Hey, but at the end,
let's-
we hear the radio broadcast of the day happening.
let's not even talk about like actual historical accuracy. Let's just talk it. Let's just look at like
I understand.
how
we needed a reason to get to this
Yeah.
place.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah. And
like
so,
it's like 30 seconds at the end of the movie, and they're like, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, if you remember this one little detail that we told you at the beginning,
Why are we here again?
boom." Most people just hear the report and they're like, "Oh, hey, look, we made it." Oh wait, that's the same
Yay.
radio tower. Wait, what?
yay.
I just have to imagine this radio tower is so insignificant that they're like, what else do we do? I don't know. Let's make some.
Aren't there other
Zombies
radio
or
towers?
something?
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
couldn't someone from the other station be like, "Oh shit, that radio tower's down. They're not talking to us. Something must be up." Like, how long would that take? I mean, I know it's World War II. It's not like today where it's not like they text them and they're like, "Oh shit, they didn't text me back." But surely it wouldn't take that long for them to realize that the tower's down.
KEXP, they're not online no more. Where's Fraser at? Where'd he go?
Yeah, so they go and they're gonna blow up this tower. Their plane gets shot up, so emergency crash landing.
Yep.
A few of them survive. They still want to carry out the mission. We break into the church, which is directly beneath the tower, essentially.
Yep.
And we find some Nazi zombie-esque experiments happening.
Yeah.
That we see the one chick who's like pretty much just a head and like a spinal column.
Oh yeah.
Which was
It's a great shot.
It seemed like a very much of a throwback to Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
It was,
she's like talking and stuff.
Yeah, and it was like in French, you know, like you felt a little bad for her, you know, she surrendered. Like,
oh yeah,
and like there she is,
yeah.
just behind in the head. What kind of chicken is this? You know what I mean? Yeah, thank you.
The one that got turned into a bunch of nuggets that we're going to use to rate the movie at the end.
Nailed it.
Oh gosh, PETA hates us. So yeah, that's essentially the whole movie. Really.
Pretty much.
There's not much else to it than that, and that's what it said on the back of the box. So I'm sorry if you wanted more plot details, but there's.
So again, wait, I gotta stop because we kind of had this conversation like at the end of the movie where you were like, "Wait, that's it," and I feel like that's like this movie falls into hard trope of horror or like action horror, and then hard trope of like war movie.
Yeah.
Like I need very little to make me feel like we should kill Nazis. Like and you don't have to convince me because I know they're bad.
Yep.
And then at the end of the movie it's like, oh yep, we wrapped up, killed Nazis. Like, wait, what?
Yep.
Give me more. And like
we made D-Day possible.
Yeah, and I feel like I get that a lot. You know, I grew up in the Midwest, like let's glorify war movies. And there are some in my repertoire that I really love. And there are often times where I go and watch a crappy one, and it's like, why did I just sit through that? And somebody's like, well, America. It's like, well, that's nice, but like that movie was just bad. It was just a bad movie.
I'm not trying to throw shade at any specific movies, but there are tons of movies that people say they love that are war movies that I just haven't even seen because that's just not really up my alley. It's not really interesting me. Yeah. I come from a military family. Like my dad was in the military most of my life growing up. Like I have mad respect, but like from a film standpoint, there's not a lot there for me. Like I never seen Jarhead, like you know, like I can't even think of some of the other ones that have been released within like the last 10 or so years.
And I feel like feel like we kind of had the glory years, which in kind of when we were younger.
Yeah, I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I've seen Black Hawk Down.
Hawk Down. Yeah. You know, Crimson Tide. What is it called? Crimson. Is that it? Just Gene Hackman, Denzel Washington, submarine movie. Like, like there are Behind Enemy Lines, Owen Wilson, Gene Hackman. Like there are some movies that are like really, really good, and they give you more of a historical perspective, a little bit more of a dialogue. But again, then you just have some that are like, we're a war movie, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna get you with our camo and root-a-tootin' gun shooting, and like that's kind of like
tooty aim and shooting,
and like and then horror movie. Like I kind of want to put some horror movies in that camp too, where it's just like,
they definitely can.
You know what? All we got to do is cut some heads off in a horror movie. And it's like at the end of this movie, you're kind of scratching your head, like, wait, what did I just watch? Like, was this?
Yeah, I felt like the movie was long because I did get kind of bored by the end of it, but at the same time, I felt like I was missing half of the movie. So it's like it could have been another hour and a half and given me more of what happens now, like.
Yeah.
And I get the idea of telling a small character-driven story, and like we just wanted to tell this story of this circumstance, and I'm like, not everyone who knew about these weird Nazi zombie experiment things is dead now.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I respect the idea and the commentary that it's making of like, we're skipping to the end. Sorry, everyone.
SpoilerVision. Spoiler. What's our...
Yeah, you got it.
Just want to make sure I didn't mess it up again. For those who only listen to one and not the other, we had an interview and I really messed it up. So trying to keep
you did a great job.
Trying to keep it right.
You did a great job. So we get to the end and there's a couple people that survive in our little troop, our little party. But kind of our main hero makes it a point to not tell his, officers about the zombie monster experiment serum stuff. And I think the commentary on that is because the guy says, he's like, hey, there's been rumors of some Nazi lab that was under there. And is there any truth to that? If there's anything worth digging up, maybe we should spend time here for a little bit. So I think the commentary of that is like,
don't trust the government.
Exactly. If we were to tell, if I was to be completely honest with my officer, the military industrial complex would then take over. peel all those layers back, create our own American zombie soldiers to fight the Nazi zombie soldiers, and like, how is that a good thing for the world? It's not. I love that. I love that message. I love that part of it. But you're trying to tell me that you think every single person on the other side who is not taking that high road,
well, even
dead?
Suggested
no one knows that it exists.
If the government had this inclination that the Germans were doing these ungodly experiments under this tower, should we dig it up? And this one guy's like,
no, there's nothing.
No, it's cool. Oh, okay. No, he said it's cool.
I seen it. There was nothing.
Put the shovels away.
We don't need the excavator.
Let's move it forward, Bill.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Okay. How did this movie look and sound? We are so off track.
The movie actually looked so like. You guys continue to reference a video game that I have not played.
I know. This is Wolfenstein or Wolfenstein. I don't know the correct pronunciation. It's a video game series. It's been around since like the 80s, really. But there's a new iteration of it that's really, really popular. I've played it. It's very, very fun. This is that game 100% made into a movie, and they don't even try to pretend like it's not. The art style is exactly the same. The situations are exactly the same, and it's cool. But it just is really obvious that someone wanted to make a Wolfenstein movie and they couldn't get the license for it. Yeah, which is fine. It's fine.
I would argue, like, as far as visuals go, like, there's a couple, like, oh gosh, they kind of botched that like throw scene because clearly the guy's on cables and
right.
He, like, what? Even with superhuman strength,
you're not in the Matrix, okay?
Yeah. But there are times where, like, kind of our, like, secondary character, this, like, badass rogue captain guy, like, he looks at times almost like CGI-esque.
That's
like,
true.
And like, in a good way. And like almost like I'm living like this video game thing is coming to life. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like the crowd in the room really enjoyed this video game and like wanted to see this adaptation. And like I didn't have I would say like typically I'm the curmudgeon. Like I right. Get that crap out of here. I don't want to see anything that kind of resembles that. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was neat.
Think you'd really, really like that game.
And I actually, I mean, this movie was pretty enjoyable, even with all that. Like, mm-hmm. It looked like a kind of a low budget war movie. It hit a low budget. Oddly enough, low budget war movie got half of this budget, and a low budget horror movie got half of this budget, and they made this kind of medium budget horror war movie, and it's not that bad. Like,
I just think that it has that that very digital modern polish, even though it's pretending to be dirty.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good point.
And that makes it look cheap. It makes it look like it makes it look cheap because it makes it look like they're trying to make it look dirty on purpose. And it's like it felt like maybe they didn't fully commit to maybe shooting on film and like really making it organic and filthy. And instead we kind of get this amalgamation of the high quality digital polish and the filthy, we want this to look like an old war movie. Because at times they do the title card. It's like, oh, you want this to look like a propaganda film almost. Yeah. But then like the rest of the movie, no, this is a very polished blockbuster-esque film. And so because of that, I think that makes it look low budget. Yeah. Like you can throw all the money you want at that situation. It's going to look cheap because of the way you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely. But, I agree with that.
Sound-wise, nothing really of note. Production value of this movie reminds me of Resident Evil movies. Where like it's a high production value and that they are pouring a lot of money into it. But that doesn't necessarily make it come across as this like mind-blowing experience. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when you talk about like notable, it's like what stands out. Mm-hmm. Like they hit the mark where they're supposed to hit the mark. Like, but you still get like, we get these like weird mysterious bags in this laboratory.
That's creepy.
And like there's something like kind of growling and groaning inside of it, and they say, "Help me."
Yep.
And like that's weird. Like the whole sequence is just weird
Humans
and kind
in
of
sacks.
yeah, kind of unnerving. But like it wasn't like, oh, you gotta wait. Like
Right.
like I think about a movie that has like incredible sound engineering, like Hereditary, where
Right.
like that freaking click was all over the place and just weird thing was happening all over the place and like God. And like that doesn't happen in this movie. Like it's what you expect.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's
Is
smart.
this movie scary?
No. Knee-jerk reaction? No.
No, it's not scary at all.
There are sequences. Again, there are sequences
There's
where you're
horror
like,
elements.
yeah, like the first time we see one of these tested individuals, it was like, oh, we all said like, oh.
Getting
But
really close to saying testicles with that. Tested individuals.
Oh. But it was still like, it wasn't scary. Like we were all waiting for it.
No.
We had to have a reveal, right?
Right.
And yeah, so no, it wasn't scary.
Not scary.
If we had to pick a scariest moment, I'm gonna say sack people. I thought that was a really good horror suspense moment. He had snuck into this place and he wasn't supposed to be there. He's the only one in there. He's all by himself.
Yeah.
And he finds these weird people in sacks who he cuts it open and they're screaming, "Help me!" or not screaming, but
Something,
groaning,
yeah.
"Help me!"
Yeah.
Is scary.
Yeah,
It's good.
I agree. I 100% agree. That was, they've built you on the suspense of this guy just breaking into this Nazi encampment, and then, boom, here's this horrifying thing. Probably the scariest of it being the French lady's head with the spinal cord attached.
Yeah.
And,
And there was a
this is
nice
all I
little
am.
jump with that, with a little violin stinger and everything. Like just what you would expect from a movie made today that has a little jump scare in it.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to try to zig a little bit. I agree. That's an incredible scene. Like, I just thought that whole sequence, like, a lot of you guys, again, I haven't played this video game, but many people were saying, like, oh, this is that video game. And, like, and after something would happen, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that was great. And so, for me, not playing that video game, it's still really a great sequence. I'm going to go with the scene where their comrade gets injected. He gets
really good.
So we're in an attic, just to set the scene for those maybe who haven't seen it or you've seen it a while ago and you need your memory jogged. We're in the attic. This guy is supposed to kind of take this prisoner, get him moving. He gets shot in the process.
Yep.
And so really they feel like this one character feels like maybe the only way to save him is to inject him with what I found in the laboratory. Mm-hmm. And he starts turning into this scientific zombie-esque figure. We see his neck break. We see him
that was a good neck break. I really like the neck break, and then the thrown back head and seeing the spinal cord stop, everything going on.
I liked that because it was kind of an explanation or a scientific experience, I guess, that we've never gotten before. Like, because I think the idea behind that is all of a sudden he's also gaining this like super strength,
right?
And so he's just kind of like stretching and like almost spasming.
Yep.
But because he also has super strength, when he throws his head back,
the anatomy can't keep up with it.
he's throwing it so hard that he's breaking his bones.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool.
Well, and I think the first two actions he takes, which I thought were incredible, were he picks at he sits up and picks at the bullet wound.
That was gross.
And he's just like, hey, this doesn't hurt as bad as you think. It's like, wait, what? And then he's like, he stands up, he's like, oh, my head hurts, and just starts bashing it against the pole. And you're like, what is happening? Stop.
Yeah.
Like, I knew something like this was going to happen.
It's a good sequence.
I didn't expect
a good pick.
this.
It's a really good
It's good. So, this is a good sequence.
Yep. All right, there's tons of deaths in this movie. So what do we say for best kill?
Wow, that's loaded. That is...
I knew mine as soon as I saw it.
Go.
But it's not scary.
It doesn't matter.
It's not
No,
scary
it's the
at
best
all.
one.
Best
one.
Kill was booby trap, German strapped to a motorcycle. They're sending him through the gate.
Oh, absolutely.
That was so good.
That was
You saw
so
it coming
good.
a mile away.
So good. So they
How did those stupid Germans in the freaking fortress not see this coming?
because it's
so
American propaganda. We
it's
just
so
believe that
terribly
all
set up,
Nazis are
too.
also stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
So pompous.
yeah. So
they-
essentially,
yeah.
what we saw was a German motor soldier on a motorcycle get captured, and then our little crew of our little Hogan's Heroes crew, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. Hogan's Heroes is like the perfect description.
They shove a bunch of like road flares and dynamite and explosives into his sidecar, and then put a grenade in his mouth, and then tape his mouth shut, with the idea being whenever they rip the tape off of his mouth, it pulls the pin of the grenade and creates this really fucked up suicide bombing.
Yeah.
It was good.
The
it was
worst,
good.
The
It's
worst
creative.
part of
It's
it is he's tied to the handles and the clutch of the motorcycle and everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why did you drive there? Why did you go that way? You have control of the turn of the handlebars. Why did you go there? That's what they want.
Don't open the gate. Here I come.
If you knew, chances are you're just gonna die, and just maybe not kill all your friends while you're out. Like,
yes,
just go drive into a lake. Like,
maybe snuff the fuse out. Like, you don't know.
Right.
Water's an amazing thing.
Maybe grenades don't work underwater. It's better than what you did.
Absolutely ridiculous, but
that's a good point.
That's my kill.
I
like it.
That was a great multi-kill.
Yeah,
that's good.
Overkill. Kill-tacular.
There it is. Man, that's I'm gonna
Kilimanjaro.
So my kill is gonna be more of like a war kill than a horror kill.
Great.
Just because, like, just trying to diversify. I think we all enjoyed that one. But I feel like there are tropes in movies that we get caught up in that, like, and we kind of call them out. Like, oh gosh, don't do that first. Do this first. And when they don't do it, then we know exactly what's going to happen. And that happened a couple times where, like, this one scene, and this isn't my kill, but to give an example, there's one scene where kind of this girl side character confronts two Nazis. She has a gun, and James, in the middle of the movie, is like, hey, there's two of them. Kill one of them. Show them that you're serious. And like, in a movie, like, typically, oh, no, I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to keep you hostage. And she does exactly what James says. She kills one. It's like, oh, actually, that's good. Typically, we're expecting. She actually
did it well. She did it kind of as a power play, whereas, like, in my mind, if I were in this situation, I wouldn't be, because I would have just been dead by that point. But if I were in the situation, you just kill one immediately. What's the point in risking the fact that you, as a, not trying to be sexist whatsoever, but, like, she was a fairly frail, like, not super, like, athletic woman. I'm speaking
as a not athletic
as
male.
a not athletic male, which is why I would have been dead already. She already outlived me. But, like, why even risk the fact that these two soldiers could very easily overpower you, even if you are holding a gun? Especially because we know they also have weapons. So like, as soon as you see two, you kill one. So it's much easier to hold one person at gunpoint than it is two people at gunpoint, especially when you're not a trained person with a firearm. Like, so she used it as a power play. I liked it.
Yeah,
it was good.
So it's not a bad kill, but kind of getting to, so, like, that's an example of what we typically call out in a movie. So kind of going to my best kill, and again, there's more of a war movie than a horror movie. Is we get this blind shot. We don't know what's supposed to be happening at this point. Like, maybe somebody's sounding an alarm, but we see this German radio caller. He's sitting in front of a switchboard, and he's doing his job, and we expect him to get a radio call like, oh, there's someone in here, sound the alarm. And then all of a sudden, you see a hand over his mouth and a knife in his throat. And it's just
right
like,
to the judge.
It's like, oh, wait, that's what an experienced soldier would do. Like, let's not. And he pulls him away from the soundboard. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're taking away my, like, angst of being in the theater screaming at the screen. Don't do this. Don't go in the room by yourself. Laurie Strode, don't throw the knife away. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was a good scene, I thought.
It was good.
Just for the record, mine was a war kill too. I like to think that in the actual World War II that we sent
we would actually pull
Nazi motorcycles,
Hogan's Heroes A-Team bullshit like that.
Grenades,
but somehow the guy, like, still survives but learns his lesson. You're gonna shake your finger. Like,
Sorry,
All right,
go ahead.
let's move on into our review, our thumbs up, our
Yeah.
thumbs down. For those that don't know, we operate off of a chicken nuggets scale here.
Yes.
So we're just going to try to simplify things a little bit. I tried to already, but we're all really set in our ways.
Yep.
So we're going to try to simplify a little bit differently. I'm going to say our nuggets are basically percentages.
Okay.
So 100 nuggets is 100%. That's a perfect score.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to go about it. That's essentially what I did by saying how many nuggets out of 10, but then as soon as I said, hey, how many nuggets out of 10, Danny? He says 70.
All the
With
nuggets.
sweet and sour sauce.
We are so
we're
stuck in our.
we are so stuck in start stays. We are so stuck in our ways that we're just
Yep.
gonna go by 100 nuggets is 100%.
Yep.
Your percentage of nuggets determines your percentage of the movie, i.e., a Rotten Tomatoes-esque ranking.
A tomateter.
A tomateter
There it is.
And the tomato meter rating for this film is 81%.
Interesting.
So that kind of gives us something to go off of. Where do we stand with our chicken nuggets percentage versus the tomateter meter?
Yeah. I'll go first.
Cool.
I will say you got to know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
If you're walking into this saying, I want to be scared, if I want a horror movie, if I want something that's going to rival, name a class, a Wicker Man, like, yeah, you're not going to get this.
Nope.
Like, and so, like, for me, it's a thumbs up. If you read the back of the box, if you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, like, and there's plenty of these types of movies out there. Like,
Oh yeah.
what's it called? The Nazi winter.
Dead Snow.
Yes, Dead
Yeah.
Snow. Like we.
That's even a little more head on. That one's a little more campy, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's an action horror movie. I don't know, the pacing and the vibe even reminds me of like what's that one? Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
that's a little more sci-fi, but still that kind of
Still
same
there.
vibe.
Yeah. So you got to know what you're getting yourself into. So like if you're not looking for this, if you hate this kind of stuff, like just stay away. But I would say thumbs up. I mean, we all knew what we were doing,
Oh yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Let me give some context. We all saw Midsummer and or Midsommar, however we're supposed to pronounce
I
that
don't
in
know.
America.
Still hard telling.
But we, all three of us, plus Josh, saw that over the weekend. We went out for beers afterward to decompress from watching that movie. And we're like, hey, what are we watching this Monday? I don't know. Like, and I just was like, hey, maybe we should just go with something that's really easy to
Yeah.
digest. And
Fast burn.
it's not gonna have us in this kind of headspace afterwards. It's gonna be an easy watch. And so
Yep.
let's watch Overlord. So we jumped into this pool 100% on purpose.
Yep. We wanted to see things go boom, and we wanted to see things go, and we saw those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
I would say, so thumbs up for me.
Cool.
And I would say like it's north of 50 nuggies. I mean, somewhere between 50 and 60 nuggies. Like rentable, very enjoyable.
Sure.
I wouldn't go over the top with it, but it's also like this isn't like, I would not expect this to show up on a free streaming service. Nothing's free, but
Yeah.
a monthly subscription streaming
Oh
service
yeah.
for a while.
If this
So like,
right. This will be a great Netflix movie when it hits Netflix.
yeah.
A
Oh,
perfect
absolutely.
Netflix movie.
But I would say like even if you have, I mean, I don't know what we paid on Vudu. I would say
It was
like
$4.99
oh
for
yeah,
HDX.
yep. I would say go for it if you have we have Family Video in Fort Wayne. Like
Yeah, we
you,
do.
you can pick this up for $1 a night.
Family
Like,
Video, feel free to sponsor us at any moment.
please, your cigarette smoke smelling stores are just heavenly. Yeah, so you can pick this up $1 a night. Like, yeah, go for it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. We're not trying to compete with the classics over here.
Yep. Dude, how funny would it be though if like, because no one's ever approached Family Video.
They just give us all their coupons that they mail out to everybody that they recycle.
We just become the official Family Video podcast. Like,
God, we
they
have to take every other movie back because it's scratched and they have to clean it. And they give us, we just have a shit ton of store credit.
They can
Okay.
use this just as a marketing tool. Like, I'm
Yes.
fine with that. I'll be the official Family Video podcast. I have nothing. There's nothing in me that would be upset about that.
They
So,
can't know that it's me though because I have like 7 different subscriptions to all their different stores because I've lived so many different places, and they know me as the guy who pays with pennies. So they're like,
oh no, that's the thing though.
They're not.
You
letting
have
me
to
in.
have a different membership for every single store. They never connected them.
Dude, it's like,
whereas Blockbuster at some point they like, oh, let's make a database of all of our stores together. Family Video still doesn't. We have 2 in town. I have a membership at each one.
Yeah. Ironically,
they are
Family
separate.
Video's the one that's still around.
Oh yeah, dude, they're featured in like Fortune magazine and shit.
Let's go. You walk in and they say, "Do you have a subscription?" And you say, "Yeah." And they say,
all those
"Do you
little
have a
Caesars.
subscription at this store?"
Yep, exactly. They always do that.
I don't know. Do I? You tell me. You have the computer.
There's like 20 Family Videos in Indiana. I've been to all of them.
Yes. Probably. Also, I pay with pennies. So go ahead and put that in your little notes section.
Okay. It's going to be a thumbs up from me as well. But yeah, it's a thumbs up with the caveat of a low nugget score. So it's a thumbs up, but I'm going to say 50 nuggets, which about $5, 50%. It's not a great movie. It left me wanting more at the end. Like I said, I was like, "Oh, this is the end of the plot. Like, this is it." Like, it never got quite as climactic as I would have liked it to. Like our, I guess, final boss showdown was not as big as I expected it to be. Yeah. And so yeah, it's not. I'm not gonna purchase it. I will probably never purchase it. If I find it at a thrift store for a couple bucks, maybe, just because I didn't find anything else that day to buy. But that's the only reason why I'd add it to the collection. I will probably never watch it again. But yeah, still a thumbs up. Still a good movie. And yeah, just about 50 nuggets.
I'm right on par. I will give it the thumbs up, and pretty much the same thing. Low nuggy score. My biggest criticism was, I feel like we got this tease in the woods where they came across that little carcass where they called it a jackal. And I was like, oh, we're going to get zombie dogs or werewolves or something.
No demon dogs here.
Something crazy on top of zombies.
Or it was a jackal, but they said it had hooves.
Yeah. Oh, they did?
Yeah, so it was like some weird crossbreed shit.
So you're like, oh, we're going to get all kinds of things in this. And the guy double pumps himself with the 2 injections. I was like, oh, we're going to, somebody made the joke of, this is going to be the abomination from the Hulk.
Yeah.
Just some big, terrible monster.
It just made him more strong, I guess.
Just made him a stronger Nazi. That's all it did. Yeah. That's all it did. So it was fun. I wanted more horror. I like the alt history kind of story sideline. Like, hey, this was happening while all this other stuff was happening. But meh. Yeah. Very meh. But thumbs up, 50 nuggies. Give it one shot.
Cool. Well, that about wraps it up for this SpoilerVision episode. Don't forget, SpoilerVision episodes are not our only episodes. Eek Live is our horror house party that happens every week, and you're invited to it. You are invited to it. Eek Live is recorded live on Twitch Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern Standard. We would love for you to join us and engage in the conversation in real time. A party, my friends,
in my pants,
is not a party.
Okay.
If you're by yourself.
No.
Whoa, no. It's frowned upon.
So we want you to come to our pants party. No, but seriously, you are invited to this party. We need guests. We always want more guests. We love talking to people about scary movies, especially your favorite scary movies. So if you would like to be a guest on Eek Live, please hit us up on Instagram at Eek Channel. That is EEKCHANNEL. And if you want to help us out, you can rate, review, comment, like, wherever you listen, or just tell a friend. Our music's fading out.
Uh-oh.
That means I went too long. So you know what we're going to do is we're just going to start it
back
over. Everything is fine. So if you don't want to rate, review, comment, like, or any of that stuff, I don't give a shit. Just tell a friend about the podcast. Say that it's pretty cool. Maybe they should check it out. Your word of mouth is literally like oxygen to me. And so while I love the social media love, I would love it even more if you never talk to us on social media and you just tell somebody that they should listen to the podcast. That's even more important to me personally. That is what fills my heart with love for you and the horror community and everyone. Again, hit 500 followers on the whole Graham Fam thing.
Woo!
And that's really, really cool, and we love that. And so every time we hit 100 followers, or every 100 mark, I guess I should say, every 100 followers, we give away a free movie, and we're doing that. We did that on Eek Live, and we're gonna send out a free movie. So if we get up to 600, we're gonna give away another free movie. That's just what we do.
We're so nice.
So yeah, tell your friends, and thank you so much for listening.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in and stay eeky out there.